Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am seriously thrilled you're here today because we're tackling something that is just incredibly relevant right now. We are opening up chapter 19 of our source material to map out what the next 5 years of artificial intelligence actually look like. If you've been feeling totally overwhelmed by the endless, dizzying headlines about AI lately, you are absolutely in the right place. Today we're cutting through all that noise to look at our messy, complicated, and deeply human technological future.
Now, I want to kick things off right away with this quote straight from our source text. The next 5 years will not deliver the science fiction future that the evangelists promise, nor the apocalypse that the doomers fear. I mean, that really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly tees up the reality of what we're going to explore today. We are completely dismissing the two most extreme narratives that seem to dominate the news cycle. Because the truth is much more grounded, much more uneven, and frankly, a whole lot more fascinating.
So here's our map for today. We're going to look at getting beyond the AI hype, 3 big trends shaping tomorrow, a tech reality check, why we need to embrace the boring middle, building your personal AI protocol, and finally, what actually makes us human.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, Beyond the AI Hype and the Era of AI Evaluation.
Culturally speaking, we're kind of officially sobering up. We're finally moving away from pure AI evangelism. You know, that phase where everyone was just breathlessly asking, whoa, can AI do this? Now we're entering this era of AI evaluation, where we're asking the much tougher questions. Okay, but how well does it do it? At what cost? And who is this actually for? Organizations are figuring out that AI isn't some magic wand. It's a tool. And like any massive enterprise tool, it takes serious skill, solid infrastructure, and a whole lot of patience to actually get real results out of it.
Moving right along to part 2, let's look at 3 major trends shaping tomorrow: agents, data, and sovereignty.
The first really massive trend we need to talk about is agentic AI. You've probably heard the buzz about agents. These are systems that don't just say, write a quick email for you, but actually go out and autonomously execute complex tasks across a bunch of different apps. Sounds amazing, right? But looking at Deloitte's tech trends data for 2026, while 38% of organizations are piloting these solutions, a tiny 11% actually have them in active production. That is a massive, massive gap between testing a cool concept and actually making it work in the real world.
And to put that into perspective, Gartner actually predicts that over 40% of agentic AI projects are just going to outright fail by 2027. Why is that? Well, because you literally can't just slap a futuristic AI agent on top of a decades-old clunky IT system. When companies try to do that without fixing their messy underlying data architecture first, they don't get efficiency. They get what Deloitte perfectly calls work slop. Basically, poorly designed AI apps that just make human workflows so much slower and infinitely more confusing.
Which brings us to a second huge trend, a looming data crisis. Researchers are warning that by 2026, the high-quality human text data used to train these giant AI models is, well, it's literally running out. The internet has been scraped, the books are digitized, the well is running dry. So to fix this, AI companies are turning to synthetic data, which is data generated by the AI itself. Clever, sure, but it's a massive risk. It threatens to bake existing biases even deeper, and creates these weird feedback loops where models just train on their own noise until the outputs become total gibberish. The provenance of what an AI actually knows is going to become incredibly opaque.
Adding to all this complexity is our third big trend, the push for AI sovereignty. If you thought we were heading toward one single, universal global chatbot, that dream is officially dead. Countries are actively rejecting reliance on American tech dominance. Nations like the UAE, South Korea, China, and the EU are pouring money into their own domestic models. And this essentially means the internet is fragmenting. Chinese models will optimize for Chinese state values. European models are going to heavily prioritize privacy and compliance. American models will reflect commercial, free market interests. So figuring out what an AI should want isn't just a coding problem anymore. It is a full-blown geopolitical one.
Okay, part 3, a tech reality check covering robotics, BCI, and quantum computing.
When we take a step back and actually ground these adjacent technologies in reality by checking the real timelines, things look a lot different than the sci-fi movies. Take brain-computer interfaces, like Neuralink. The immediate future there is strictly medical. We're talking about restoring speech and autonomy for people with severe impairments, not turning everyday healthy people into cyborgs. As for robotics, we aren't getting those humanoid butlers to fold our laundry anytime soon. Instead, bipedal robots like Agility's Digit are going straight into highly structured warehouse and logistics hubs. And quantum computing? While IBM is definitely making incredible strides toward quantum advantage in chemistry, but it is not going to magically accelerate AI training tomorrow. We really have to ground our expectations in these actual real-world use cases. This brings us to Section 4. It's time to embrace the boring middle and chart our most likely future.
Just think for a second about the media you consume every day. We are constantly fed this idea that AI is either going to cure every disease, solve climate change, and usher in this glorious utopian paradise, or it's going to enable total surveillance, wipe out the labor market, and lead straight to a dystopian apocalypse.
But according to our source material, the reality is way less cinematic. We are actually heading straight for what they call the boring middle. So, what exactly is the boring middle? It's a future where AI gradually, unevenly, and honestly pretty messily reshapes the economy. It doesn't magically save the world, and it definitely doesn't destroy it. Instead, it improves things in steady, relentless increments. It means our future is going to contain both incredible benefits and very real risks, but they're going to be distributed unevenly. Some industries will boom, others will get totally hollowed out. But the crucial takeaway here is that it reminds us our outcomes are shaped by our own regulatory, societal, and personal choices, not by some unavoidable technological destiny.
Which leads us to Part 5, your personal AI protocol, a framework for living with AI in 2026. Because the boring middle requires our active participation, here is a highly practical framework to help protect your humanity day to day. You absolutely want to use AI for the heavy lifting, right? Things like research synthesis, drafting emails, coding boilerplate, or crunching huge amounts of data. But you should completely skip AI when it comes to emotional decisions, diagnosing a medical issue, or replacing your own personal judgment. The author highlights this brilliant concept called the blank page rule. Basically, never use AI to generate ideas before you've done the hard work of thinking for yourself. Never, ever outsource the actual struggle of cognition.
And finally, Part 6. What makes us human and redefining our purpose. As AI gets cheaper and more competent, it really begs the question, what is left for us to contribute? Well, philosopher Daniel Susskind points out 3 very clear limits on machine work. First is comparative advantage. Even if an AI is technically better at everything, basic economics dictate that humans will still do plenty of jobs simply because deploying an AI for every single task on Earth is just way too expensive. Second, preference limits. Think about this. Even though a computer can play literally perfect chess, human chess is more popular today than ever before. We actively crave human aesthetics, human achievement, and human empathy. And third, moral limits. A machine cannot stand trial. It can't feel remorse. So when it comes to decisions regarding justice, military force, or end-of-life care, we fundamentally require a human agent who can bear the heavy weight of moral responsibility. This realization totally transforms how we view our entire lives. Our source text profoundly states, struggle is not a bug in the human experience, it is the feature from which meaning emerges. Whether that's comforting a frightened child at 3 in the morning, wrestling with a really complex math problem, or standing by a friend through an illness, these aren't just tasks to be optimized or handed off to an algorithm. They are human transformations. They are literally the things that give our lives deep, enduring meaning. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, vital thought to chew on. The future of AI isn't just something that happens to us. It's a tool that amplifies our own intentions. The deeper question we need to ask isn't what will remain for people to do, but what do we want to remain human? Remember, the future isn't predetermined, it is chosen. So what kind of world are you going to choose to build? Thanks so much for hanging out and exploring this with me today. Keep learning, keep evaluating, and I'll catch you in the next one.